And looking at these two different individuals, I've learned a huge lesson that building wealth and being rich are not the same thing. Hey there guys, Johnny Yusuf here, and today I'm gonna share with you guys about a huge lesson that I learned as a new realtor between building wealth and being rich. And learning that lesson by accident has helped me so much in knowing how to invest and how to have the right mindset as I am building my real estate portfolio. But before I do that, if you're on YouTube, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Make sure to like this video because that helps me continue doing videos like this. And if you're not on YouTube, just know that the whole full video of this is on YouTube, so you can go over there to watch the entire thing. That being said, let me start with the story. And the story started as a new realtor when I had this investor who wanted to buy real estate rentals, and there was this portfolio of 10 townhouses. They were all next to each other, and the entire portfolio was $300,000. That means that each unit was only $30,000. Now, the properties were not in great shape. The tenants were not, great tenants, but it was a good deal. The returns were great. 10 units for $300,000. And the investor that was working with me was this older gentleman. He was in his 70s, and he was a Chinese gentleman coming from China to buy these properties. And he wanted to buy the properties. When I asked him, why do you want to buy the properties? He said, well, I have a lot of wealth and I don't know what to do with the money, so I am putting that money into investments for my children. I think his kids were in their 20s, maybe 30s, and he wanted to leave that wealth for his kids. And he wanted to do it in the form of giving them properties. Now, here's the crazy thing is, at the same time, when I met with the seller that is selling those properties, where this was this American man who was also around the same age, maybe early 70s, late 60s, and I asked him the same question because I wanted to learn, sir, why are you selling these properties if the returns are great? And he said, well, I'm retiring and I am trying to sell everything, liquidate everything so I can have cash so my kids don't have to deal with the hassle of having these properties. They never signed up for that, and so that I can leave them cash for their inheritance one day. And I thought it's so fascinating that you have two men with the exact opposite mindset. One man wanted to help his kids create wealth by buying properties that will need work, that will need management, that can be a hassle for his kids. The other man wanted to leave wealth for his kids by selling those properties and giving them cash. And it was a cultural difference, that being from a different culture that I can associate with, very two different mindset. And there's no wrong and right, but there's also wrong and right in some ways. So for the Chinese man, for him, he didn't think the right thing is to give his kids just hundreds of thousands of dollars just for them to do with it whatever. He felt that by giving that money, they're not gonna have tools to grow or invest, they're not gonna have any experiences, and eventually they're more likely gonna lose the entire amount because they just don't know how to work it. Versus with the American man, he felt that they shouldn't deal with things that I signed up for, so let's just give them cash and they have the freedom to do with it whatever. But looking at that, I learned the difference between being rich and being wealthy. See, the Chinese man wanted his kids to learn to build wealth. So he was putting them in a situation where he was giving them wealth. I mean, it's really nice. We have to recognize it's really nice to have a dad that would leave you with tons of properties for rent. He wanted to leave them wealth, and he wanted to put them in a place where they had to learn how to grow that wealth, how to take care of that wealth, how to take care of those properties, how to manage them. Even if they don't want to manage them, how to hire the right people to manage them. And even if they decide to sell it all, how to do that. And for them to plug the numbers and decide what's best for them. Versus the American man wanted their kids just to have the cash and not deal with the hassle. But that is teaching them being rich, not building wealth. Now the problem with that is, historically speaking, kids that grow up in rich families are more likely to squander the inheritance or squander the money, not because they're bad, it's just because they've never learned the hard way how to build something. And looking at these two different individuals, I've learned a huge lesson that building wealth and being rich are not the same thing. And what you want to do for your kids and for your future kids, if you don't have any, is to build wealth and teach them to build wealth. Even if it's more hassle, even if they tell you that's not what we want to do, have them decide that for themselves and have them deal with the liquidation process. And one story I heard that I thought was fascinating is how Bill Gates, whether you like him or not, he did this thing that I think a lot of parents can look at it and think it's cruel, but I also think it's genius. He decided that when he passes away, his inheritance for his kids are only going to be $10 million per kid. Now, I know you're hearing this and you're thinking, $10 million, that's amazing. Who wouldn't want that? But $10 million for Bill Gates is less than 1% of his net worth. He's leaving his kids less than 1%. And his whole argument is this: you guys, for his children, have already a huge advantage than any other person. You have all the connections I have. You can communicate and connect with anyone using my last name. You already have an opportunity to do whatever you want to do in this world just by your last name, let alone giving you $10 million. But he wanted to teach them that money is gonna end, and they're gonna run out of it eventually, and to use that $10 million wisely to build the business they want to build, to decide whether they're gonna go buy that mansion or whether they're gonna live simply so that they can make that 10 million turn into 100 or a billion, just like their father did. He knew that if he gives them billions of dollars, eventually money's not gonna mean much, and it's just gonna make his kids rich, but he's never gonna teach them the tools for being wealthy and for building wealth. So for me personally, that has changed my life, these two men, because now we're talking 10 years later from when that sale happened. And I can tell you that these townhouses, even if they didn't do any work to repair these townhouses now, that portfolio that was worth $300,000, in the same condition would probably today be worth $800,000 or maybe $700,000. And if they do work in it, you know, $200,000 in work, so $20,000 per unit, it's probably worth $1 million now. So you have that American man that just gave their kids convenient money of $300,000 immediately, but the other Chinese man gave his kids what had the potential and has the potential now to be $1 million or $800,000. And that is building wealth. There's also a lesson to learn about how you get to choose whether you want instant gratification or whether you want to build something that 10 years from now, compounding effect, can make it worth a lot more. So I just encourage you, if you ever want to invest, which you should, whether it doesn't have to be real estate, whether it's stocks, real estate, investing in small businesses, starting your own business, but if you want to invest, I encourage you, think long term and think and learn how to build wealth, not how to be rich. Do not let the glamour of these Instagram accounts or these individuals that have these useless cars, that have these useless toys, that have these useless gadgets be a distraction and be thinking this is just being rich and that will be wasted, versus building wealth, building an inheritance, and building a foundation for you and your family. I hope this video helps. If you guys have any comments, I'd love to hear it. Again, hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.